Welcome back to a series that teaches you the basics of programming while teaching you Sidus Link Pro. I'm Mark LaPierre, your elder nerd, and today we're going to learn about CCT, how to control it, measure it, and correct it. This video was sponsored by Aperture, but my thoughts are my own. I'd recommend having followed along on the previous videos. That said, this video doesn't need the capture file running and can be done with any patch. I'm going to control an MC Pro and a Storm ADC to illustrate my points today. Let's get into it. CCT is really just a way to talk specifically about the color white in lighting. It stands for correlated color temperature. Notice that word temperature. Now your gaffer may call for 3200K. The K stands for Kelvin, which is of course also a measurement of temperature. We'll get back to that in a bit. Lower temperatures below 3000 will have more red and less blue. Higher color temperatures will have less red and more blue. Let's go to Sidus and see this in action. I'm going to start with the MC Pro. We'll stay on the default CCT tab. The default value for CCT in Sidus is 5600, which is around the color temperature of daylight. You could describe it as a slightly bluish white. I'm going to lower the CCT as slowly as I can. And you're going to notice that the light gets redder, right? And that becomes more pronounced as we go down. As we start approaching the bottom of the range, which is 2000 for the MC Pro, the light begins to look pretty orange. Now we're going to take the slider slowly to the right, so let's get it back to about where we were. So this is about 5600. Now we're going to go higher in CCT value. And again, as you watch the CCT rise over time, the light's becoming bluer and bluer until we get to the top of the range, which with this light is 10K. The red becomes way less noticeable, and we are seeing a white that has a lot of blue content in it. We want to be able to control white light in CCT for two main reasons. One, CCT is the clearest way to communicate which kind of white light we want. Two, cameras also have a CCT control, which they call white balance. So we can use that as a reference for deciding which CCT light to choose. So we have a basic understanding of CCT, but see what's right below the CCT slider? That's tint. What's that and what does it do? Well, let's set the MC Pro to 3200 and we'll meter it and discover a few things together. When testing, you want no additional light in the room if you can help it. We're gonna use the Illuminati meter that I have. It's cost effective and fairly accurate. So right now we have 2910. Obviously that's not 3200. We need to make some adjustments. So we're gonna start by raising this up 300 CCT, and we're going to remeter, and now we're on the money 3200. So now we have the values for a more accurate 3200. We should save it as a preset. Why? It took a while, and there's no way we're going to get that amount of time on set to correct every light. So let's touch preset. Let's touch save to presets. Now, very important that we touch the three dots on the new preset and choose rename. Why? Because the settings for an MC Pro, so we should label this MC Pro 3200, is going to be different for any other kind of fixture. So we want to make sure we remember which preset applies to what fixture. Hit OK. Let's do two more. So let's go with 4300 this time. And I'm just going to raise this up 300 points to start and then meter it. So we're at 4230, so let's raise this up maybe 40 points by hitting the plus, because that'll jump by tens. And let's remeter. Good, that's 4280, so let's try another 20 points. So now we're 20 points over at 4320, so let's split the difference. Seems like we can choose between 4320 or 4280. So let's go with 4320. Great, so again, we should save a preset by touching Preset, Save to Presets. Then we need to rename the preset, MC Pro 4300. This time we're going to do 5600. So I'll touch the preset for that and then immediately raise it up 400 CCT and meter. Ooh, good. We're at 5550. So let's raise this by, I don't know, 40 points and meter again. 5600 on the nose. So again, we should record this as a preset. So preset, save to presets. We're going to rename MC Pro 5600. Okay. Now let's use a more sophisticated light engine. Let's do the same 3 CCTs with the Storm ADC. Since we're already set on the default 5600, let's just meter for that. So we're starting out at 5390 and 8th green. So let's go ahead and raise that up by 230. So 5620 and an 8th green. So let's drop by 10. We're going to want to adjust our magenta. Okay, that's better. So I added 5% magenta. Let's raise this back up 20%. There we go. 5600K. So let's go to preset, save to presets, and we want to rename 80C5600. Okay. And let's go down to 4300. And we have to manually neutralize the tint on Sidus. So let's remeter. Oh, that's actually pretty close. So let's do again 5% magenta, remeter. Oh, no, maybe a little more magenta. And let's raise up the CCT a bit more. Oh, let's do 30 more points. And we're 10 over. It's amazing how you'll overshoot these things. And yeah. All right, so 4310, I am going to decide that that's good. So let's hit preset, save to presets, rename the preset, ADC 4300. And let's go down to 3200 and see what we have. Oh, not bad, 3170. So let's just raise by 20 points and remeter. Oh, we're over. We can either be under or over. So I guess we'll go with under. So let's hit preset, save to presets, and we're going to rename again ADC 3200 and hit OK. Both lights were pretty easy to dial in, so let's talk about the differences in how they work. The MC Pro has one of the standard approaches to a color engine: warm white, cool white, red, green, blue. The warm white is 2700 and the cool white is 8700. You crossfade between these two emitters and that sets your color temperature. While this is a valid way to set up a color engine, it's not the world's most precise method. So it's pretty normal to set a CCT value in the console and have it not match when you meter. Now, with most other versions of this color engine, I will end up needing to add a bunch of green. Why is that? Well, take a look at this chart. See the dark curve with CCT numbers written by it? That's called the Planckian locus, and it's a curve that follows the spectrum of white light. It's also called the blackbody curve, and that refers to the temperature of light a heated piece of iron throws. Don't worry, you don't need to memorize anything here except to remember that CCTs travel in an arch, not a line. Why is that so important? If you draw a straight line between two color temperatures, notice that it pulls down towards magenta. That's why you may find yourself adding a bunch of green. Totally normal and expected, because when you draw a straight line between your warm emitter and your cool emitter, it drifts towards magenta. The ADC has a very different approach to light. It has the Blair CG engine, and that stands for blue, lime, amber, indigo, cyan, and green. This covers a much fuller portion of the color spectrum. And so what that means is the CCTs are more satisfying and vibrant. Now imagine you had to mix all of those emitters yourself to get a CCT. I've done it a few times and it is hard. But thanks to a lot of smart firmware programming, this light responds to a CCT channel, adjusting the emitters for you. We went over some cool stuff. We learned about CCT and tint, how to read a meter, how to correct our light for higher accuracy, and how to store that to a preset. We learned about warm white, cool white, RGB color mixing, that the Planckian locus is a curve, and how that affects tint. We even learned a bit about the Blair CG engine. Next time, we are going to learn the basics of mixing colors. I'll see you then.